my dad not being there. So I'm like, yo, I'm not missing nothing. I'm not gonna miss picture day. I'm not gonna miss your first day at school on the lunch, your lunch. Like I'm like a stalker dad everywhere. I'm crazy with it. That's how it looks in the beginning until you learn balance, and you can only be there. And I think my children appreciate it. I think I missed one event my daughter's senior year because I was doing a podcast. And I
Mm.
was like, dang, I was so pissed. But I came at the end, but she understood. She's like, Dad, you are there for everything. Like, I can't complain. So, becoming a dad, you just don't want to miss any moment. You just want to be there.
Welcome to Fatherhood Voices, breaking the toxic cycle. Dive in as real dads bear all, the mess ups, make ups, and every heartfelt moment in between. It's raw, it's real, and it might just change the way you see family.
Welcome to another episode of Fatherhood Voices. So today I have a special guest, and that's Jevin Smith. And today, man, when you take a look at when we talk about what he's doing and then how he's gone and embarrassed his daughter over the years with hip hop and just music and just bringing that love, soul, and laughter back to that inner child. So, Jevin, welcome to Fatherhood Voices. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, man. I am so glad to be here. Thank you, Edward. Thank you. I'm excited, man.
So tell the audience, where you grew up at and a little bit of your story of just who Jevin is.
All right. Well, I grew up in West Los Angeles, California. Born and raised, still live here, Southern California. Went to college in Atlanta, but I'm jumping the gun. But I grew up, single mom, but my mom was a business owner. She owned a hair salon along with my two aunties. Grew up around a lot of women. I did have father figures around. My grandfather was, very present in my life. I had uncles, things like that. But still growing up, I was still missing my dad. Now our relationship is amazing, and I think that is what made me the father that I am because I was missing that element. I was missing my father. I had the football games, and pops wasn't there, and different events, and my dad wasn't there, and I think that's what really made me who I am. It developed me. And I said, you know what? When I grew up, I always wanted to be a dad. I would watch shows like The Cosby Show. And that's why I love, the character Heathcliff Huxtable. We're not going to talk about Bill Cosby's personal stuff, but the character Heathcliff Huxtable was an amazing example of fathers. And us growing up, I grew up in the 90s, and there were television shows where there were strong black fathers on there. You got Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You got Carl Winslow. So when I saw those dads, I was like, you know what? When I grow up, I am going to be like that. I'm going to be that father. So I took a mixture of those dads, and I think that's what really developed who I am. Even though it's genuine, it's in me. I think I took a lot of mixture of those dads, and it made me who I am. And I grew up loving music. I'm a DJ. A lot of people don't know I'm a professional DJ, so that's why I come with the songs real quick. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this character. So that is. I'm gonna let you lead me into the segue on how I started. I'm not gonna jump the gun, but
No.
yes, that is why I love music so much because I grew up as a DJ. Started DJing at the age of 9.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
I love that. And I grew up in the LA area. I grew up in Compton.
Oh,
Um,
word. Okay. Guess what? I lived in Compton for
oh,
a
okay.
couple of years.
Wow. So grew up there. Mom.
DPT.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I love that you introed in on just how even though your father in your early ages wasn't in your life, but you had
Hmm.
grandfathers, uncles, other people. And one of the big things that because one of our big followings is a lot of single mothers that are
Okay.
dealing with fathers that aren't in the picture. So
Yeah.
narcissist fathers, fathers that just aren't showing up. And
Right.
one of my big taglines is just because your baby daddy's not showing up in your life, it doesn't mean that you can't put another father figure in place. An
Right.
uncle, a coach, it could be
Right.
grandfather, somebody that you respect, that you look up to.
Hmm.
And you talked about how important that was, but can you just dive a little bit deeper? Just a message that you would give to a woman that's struggling because she doesn't have um, the father in her life, her children's father,
Right.
and she's just kind of take, and unfortunately the women take on the masculine,
Right.
also, and then that
Right.
can be chaos in itself. So
Yep.
what would you say to them? Because it sounds like, man, you had some great inspirational models. And in addition to, I love the
Yeah.
fact that you just took, um, what, fresh Bel Air, fresh,
Yeah.
and the Cosby Show and so forth.
Yeah.
And you mimicked that because there was a lot of laughter, there was family, there was
Right.
dinner time. So what would
Yeah.
you message to
And
those?
life lessons.
Yes.
Yeah,
Out.
there's a lot of life lessons. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The women do tend to take on the masculine role. Like my mom, she did that. She was like, "I'm your mother and your father." So it was that. So what I would tell other women out there is be able to identify. Be able to identify around your surroundings. You may have a brother. You may have your father. This is for the women. So his grandfather, his uncle. Identify the people who you see who are a positive influence, and just kind of tell them like, hey, I need some help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And then even like mentors, coaches, there's, depending on your city, there's people out there. If he's in basketball or sports or things like that, talk to the coach and be like, hey, coach, my situation. I'm a single mom. Kind of lean towards. I'm gonna make up a name, Jeffrey, a little bit more. And they could do that. And it's tough, especially being a young man and teenage years, because I have a son. I have three children. No, three girls and one son. I'm sorry,
Okay.
three girls and one son. So I have four children all together. But I have one boy, and going through that teenage years, we don't want to ask anybody anything. We don't want to say anything. So it is up to the parent, up to the mother to really like identify that and kind of push it on. My mom did the same thing. I remember when I was in high school, it was this thing called Top Teens of America. And I was like, man, I don't want to do that. That's corny. But my mom really pushed it and pressed it. And it was a good thing. They may not understand. We know, we're the parents. So we see the future, you know what I'm saying? In a sense. So we know like, yo, this is going to be good for you. They don't know what's good for them now. So I'm saying all that to say, identify those positive influence, those male influences, and kind of lean towards them. And you can be, they can be, like I said, I learned a lot from people from TV. They can be online, send them videos of different men that are powerful, and just encourage them and keep the lines of communication open. And I think, things will work out. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. And you know what?
Okay,
I'm gonna do things differently this episode because I'm gonna
let's
fast
go.
forward into your Instagram because man, it is fucking hilarious. Okay, so his Instagram is wealthy underscore Jev
Yep.
Jev,
Yep.
and you got to take a look at this because you want to talk about a father that does the ultimate funny, loving humiliation on his children. Holy shit! Uh, Dancing and singing and
Yeah.
just a bunch of stuff. So I got to ask you,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
where did this come from? I know you mimicked a lot of just what you saw, but
Hmm.
where did the inspiration come from that you just were going to start capturing this and just I know your love for music as a DJ and so forth, but
Yeah.
what the fuck, Jeff?
Ha! So the crazy thing is, my high school homies, they know I've been this guy. In high school, I would run down the hallways and I'd be like, throw your hands up, and just really just hype and go crazy. So that was always in me. So when I had children, it just kind of came natural. I started with, I didn't really do too much with my oldest daughter. I would do some stuff, but it wasn't. I think during the time she was in high school, what was out? Facebook. I don't even know if Instagram was really popping like that. She's 27. But once my middle daughter, once she got in middle school, I would pull up and just bump the music and be like, ah. And then her friends would wait and they'd be like, go, Mr. Smith. And they would record it. And it was just like, I was like, okay. So then when she got in high school, my son said, Dad, you should get out the car and embarrass her and do it. And I was like, I don't really feel like it. And he's like, Dad, I'm telling you, if you
No, it
do
was
it,
your
it's gonna go
son.
crazy.
That,
It was his idea. And now he hates when I do it. I'm like, dude, you started this. You know what I'm saying? So now So that's what started it all. And the first one we did, Daz and Corrupt, the Dog Pound, Who Ride With Us. That was my very first one in March of not 22, March of 22. It was my daughter's sophomore year. So I got out. She was leaving dance class, and I was sea walking. And the rest is history. And people went crazy. Her friends were like, "Oh my goodness!" And that one blew up. It was on the Shade Room. It was everywhere. And I was like, I don't want to be known to do that because I really do like other sketches and things like that on my Instagram and TikTok. But people loved it so much. So I was like, all right. Then I started incorporating different outfits, and it just went crazy. It was something that just blew up, man.
So tell me about the outfits and so forth. So you just wanted
Ha!
to take it up a notch, and so I got to ask,
Yep.
what are the teachers saying? What are the administrators saying?
They
They're
love it,
outfit.
bro. What's crazy is they love it. Like me and the principal are cool. I think when I did before graduation, the vice principal of my daughter's school, he hit me up and I did a Bruno Mars one, but he was like, yeah, come and do it. And now my daughter just went to college. She went away to college on Sunday, and the dean have been hitting me up. So I'm like, all right, and she's not too far from us, so I can I can pop up anytime. But the administration, they love it. I was awarded even by our school district, the Hart District. They gave me an award. I was like, oh, okay, it pays to act a fool.
That is so cool. So I'm sure now your kids have gotten used to it, especially as they're getting older. But
Yep.
just in that moment, were there any repercussions? So I'll give you an example. So
Yeah.
you do something similar, but not to that level. I wish I would have thought of it, but I would blast the music and I would say silly stuff. Oh, I love you, Alyssa. More to my oldest daughter, but there was a time where it just created tension for us, and it got
Okay.
to the point where I had to drop her off 2 blocks away from school because she was so embarrassed that I was going to embarrass her
Mm-hmm.
that she literally would not let me drop her off at school. And I kind of wish that I would have forced it. But
Yeah.
was there any, just kind of, did she push back at first? Was she upset? Or did she just kind of like, this is my dad's sense of humor, and just embrace it?
Yep, that's you picked the exact word. She totally embraced it after the first one, because it was so random and so sporadic. When she got in the car, I was like, "Was that embarrassing?" She was like, "Yeah." And I had a conversation with her, and she was like, "But it's cool," because like after school, then she started getting known, and like she got very popular. She won homecoming princess, so she never got bullied or anything like that. So I think she totally embraced it. So I did have a conversation with my children. I remember, or what I do also is, or what I did do was I would check with them. I remember I did one of the videos. I think it was my Jay-Z one, and her face. I was looking at her face, and I could just tell. And when I turned around and I was like this, I looked at her. I was like, "Are you having a bad day?" She was like, "Yes." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm done in a minute." So I'll check with them. I'm not a parent that bullies them. It's all in love. So I'm not like, "I'm gonna do this and this is what you're gonna get." So I definitely have conversations with them. So it's something that she learned to embrace, and she loves it. There's certain ones where she's like, "Yo, this one is crazy. This is the best. This is funny." Like the one I did Sunday, dropping her off at college. That she was like, yo, she didn't like that one because her hair wasn't done, and she was just like, "Dad, not in college." But the whole campus, like everybody was like, "Yeah." So it was cool. And then she was like, "Whatever." And now they know her as the girl who gets embarrassed by her dad. So saying all that to say that she embraces it, but we do have conversations, and I make sure that I don't, I don't bully her into doing it, or my son. My youngest daughter, she begs for me to do it. I'm like, "No, that's not no fun." She's like, "Come on, Dad."
Well, it's funny that you touched on it because I was going to say, did you increase their popularity by doing this? Now they become known, and then now it
Oh
just,
yeah.
you flip the script. You really
Yep.
flip the script on things.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like I said, everybody knows who, and it's never been a time where it's like, you're corny. You're like, they love her. They're like, "Oh, that's the girl. You're the girl." And then when I go to like the football game, I just went to my son's football game, and they walk up, "Can I take a picture?" And it's crazy. Even different cities. I was eating the other day, and I'm eating with my people, and they're like, "Yo, you the dude that." So it's really something that really blew up, and people love it, man.
Wow. And so, what was your upbringing like? So
Man,
in the LA area, so dad wasn't around
yeah,
for the early childhood.
yep.
What was it like for you?
Um, it wasn't typical, like difficult, like everybody say. Like it wasn't the typical difficult, but to me, it was difficult. But anybody else, they'd be like, oh, So, I grew up in LA. My mom was a great mom. I didn't get involved in any gangs, or I mean, of course, it was around. People, hey, where you from, and getting hit up. But I knew, I was like, nah, that's not me. Um, but I was the cool dude still. Like I was cool with everybody, and I was pretty popular. Like I said, I would DJ all the events and things like that. But I mean, the difficult part was me not having my dad and me trying to figure out everything on my own, because even though my grandfather was there, he was older and he kind of, he raised his kids. So he felt like his job was just to like, I'm gonna just be there. Jeff has a football game, I'm gonna show up. He has a basketball game, I'm gonna just show up. So that was just, he was just there, but it wasn't anything in depth. And then when I went, when I transitioned into manhood and going through, I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of, things that I had to figure out. I had a godfather, but my godfather, he died at 12. I mean, he died when I was 12.
Yeah.
And it was just a bunch of stuff. I'm like, dang. So I felt another sense of abandonment because my dad had left and then my godfather died. I'm like, man, these men is just dying on me. So I had to, and that was a crucial time in my life because that's when I'm really about to go into manhood. So I needed my godfather during that time. So I did have like a big brother type. This guy, he worked at my mom's shop. So he was cool, but and he taught me some stuff, but it wasn't, it made me really go after a lot of girls. So that was my, in high school, I was just like, yo, because that's what I was trying to do. But if I could do it over, I would have, you know, I don't know. I wish I would have had somebody that was really there that could guide me and be like, all right, that really took interest in me, but I had to figure it out on my own. And then I went away to college in Atlanta, and that was worse because more girls. I'm like, yo, it's so then I came back, got married, and I figured it all out. I figured out life, and yeah, that was my upbringing.
And
I know
you,
I missed a whole bunch.
and so you, at an early age, you felt that void. You felt that
Yeah,
void, and even though you had your grandfather, you had other men in your life,
for
but
sure.
still, deep down inside, there was just an emptiness about that.
For sure, definitely, definitely. It felt like, even though it just felt like, like my grandfather or people were there because they're like, oh, I have to be there. I have to. It wasn't a lot of people that really like, I want to be here for him. I want to, help this young man. I mean, it was certain, they would say it, but I'm like, you don't really. And plus, I was different. Like I played football, I played basketball, I played the sports, and I was like, okay, I was decent, but I was like, that's not what I really want to do. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to, be on TV. I wanted to do music. I wanted to do all of that. And there was nobody there that could really like show me like, yo, this is the way to go. And plus, like I said, growing up in the 90s, it wasn't, um, we didn't know anybody that was really in it. Well, I went to high school with like a lot of entertainers like Omarion, and it was actors, Robert Richard and people. And I'm like, yo, how did you get in that? And they're like, you got to get an agent. And that was it. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So I had to figure a lot of stuff out. But I'm grateful for my upbringing. My mom, like I said, she did the best she can. She taught me business sense because, like I said, she had her own business. So she showed me like, yo, I could pretty much do whatever I want if I want to start a business, but still going the entertainment route. that was kind of difficult because I would always, it would be right there, but I'm like, how do you get into that? And then I kind of figured it out once I got older.
Nice. And so, when you talk about your mom, your eyes light up.
Hmm.
And I just, I feel the love that you have for her.
Yeah.
And this is I'm going to ask you a question that it's going to be something for moms out there, for single moms out there. What made your mom so special? What made her so great that, you know when you talk about her, they're just like adornment? I know you said she taught you about business, but
Hmm.
what was it that made her just this amazing woman?
Man, my mom was super strong, or is. She's still here, thank God. She, but she's just super strong. And uh, there were certain things in her life where she's a little more reserved. I'm definitely the opposite of her, and she admires me, being, going out and being like that. But I just love how she did everything she could to make a way. Like if we had an interest in something, she'd be like, okay, cool. All right, piano, we're gonna put you in piano. All right, these karate, we're gonna put you in karate. And I just love that about her. Like I haven't been. That's why I said my upbringing wasn't hard because we didn't have any situations where I came home and there was no food there, or like the lights were out or electricity was out. Like my mom made sure we were always cool. I didn't know what lack was. So that's what I admire about her. She was a hustler. Like she would be at the beauty shop till 1 in the morning sometimes, and so I'll be up there with her. And she showed me, like, while I was there, like, okay, you can do stuff to make money. So I would
Mm.
sell mixed tapes and mixed CDs, and I would sweep hair and run to the store for people. But my mom, she was dope, man. She was really dope. Or she
You know,
is.
as you're talking about your mom, it reminds me of a post I did not too long ago.
Hmm.
And I talked about how, you look at all this social media and it's all an algorithm. So
Yeah.
it's learning what you like and what you're looking at, and then it's feeding it, out to you. And
Yep.
it was a call out to parents to be that algorithm, to learn what your kids like, to learn what, and it sounds like, as you're saying this, I'm going like, man, your mom just had it nailed down early enough that she really took the time. And that's the word right there. That's the important word, is
Yeah.
took the time to learn about,
Right.
you. And I'm not sure, did you have siblings?
Yeah, yeah. So on my mom's side, it was just myself and my sister. My sister's younger than me. So yeah, so I was the big brother. So I taught, that was like my first child. I had her with me everywhere. I taught her everything. Even now to this day, she kind of, we're 5 years apart, but she looks at me as like a father figure, and she's like, "Oh, my brother, like if anything." And I'm like, "I got kids," and she has kids now, but I'm like, "Look, I'm not your dad, sister." Like, but I mean, I do love that I take on the leadership role in my family, and I'm the oldest out of all of the cousins, so I was the one that they looked up to. Yeah, and then my dad has four children altogether. So I have an older brother, then there's me, then I have two sisters underneath me. And even in that, like my big brother, he looks at me as the leader. Like he'll call me and be like, "Hey, bro, like, any advice if he needs advice on certain things." So yeah, yeah, and
I
I delight in that. I'm
no,
glad I can be the man.
no, I love that. Let me ask you a question. You said
Yep.
that your dad was in your life when you were young, but do you mind sharing where that connection happened? Where
Yeah.
he came back in your life, you reached out to him, he reached out. What did it look like?
Oh yeah, man. You know, he was always there, but from afar. Like like I could see him, but I can't touch him. It was that type of thing. When I first, I think the first time he was in the army. So he went to the army. Him and my mom, they were together. They were high school sweethearts. And then, not to get too deep into their business, but then they broke up. Something happened in the midst. He got married to another woman, and which I love. That's my bonus mom. She's amazing. She's great. So they got married, and then he had a stepson, her son, and he's the same age as me. And then they had my younger sister. They had another sister, another daughter. But my stepbrother, he's the same age as me. He played football when I was playing football, and my dad would be at his games, and he got all of my dad, and I didn't get my dad and get that, that love and stuff that I needed. And I'm like, yo, I'm your biological. But that happened for years, and then I think we really started to connect when I became an adult. Like once I went to college, I think I started talking to him more when I went to college, and then when I got married and I started having children and his grandchildren. So now we see each other all the time. He doesn't live far from me. So we have conversations. We never went real in depth, but he throws out stuff and he's like, man, I couldn't be there for you. You wouldn't be the man that you are. And I understand. I have an understanding of it. And I'm like, that's cool. This age Jevin understands that, but 10-year-old Jevin doesn't understand that. 8-year-old, I don't understand that. All I know is my dad isn't there. So now, like I said, we have a wonderful relationship. We talk all the time. We talk often. So yeah.
Are you looking forward to the day when you can have that talk with him and just be vulnerable and just share?
Am
Just
I looking forward to it? I don't know. It may never happen.
okay.
You know, um, it may never happen. I think he knows. He definitely knows. I say stuff, but my dad, he moves real fast and he talks like yeah, like he's very like that. So if I even started it, he'll be like, I know, and then he'll go into like a bunch a bunch of stuff, which I'm like, okay, but I understand him. I get it. We may have that talk. We may have it, but I don't feel like, people feel like they need closure or anything. I don't feel like I need that. I feel like I understand all of it. If it comes up, cool. If not, it'll still be cool. I don't think there's any unresolved issues or anything like that. I think we're cool. I think he understands, he knows. Um, I just have to, and I have, going to therapy and just getting that part healed in case it comes up again because it develops like, rejection issues and you feel rejected and, but yeah, as far as me and him, I've totally forgiven. He understands and I think we're cool. And if the conversation happens, cool. If not, cool.
Well, I love that because you just reminded me of something, and that's not everything needs closure.
Right. That's
Some,
true.
like I said, if you're getting the emotional tokens that you need right now, at this point in your life, why go and taint, mess up a good thing?
Right.
If it
Right.
happens, it happens, but you've got the closure that you need.
Yep. He said it. He told me what was going on. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't go back in time, and I'll be like, no, I needed you. I know. I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. It happened. It made me, and then I look at it as, like I said, I don't think I would be who I am today. Like, and I don't know what He's talked a little bit about it, but I don't know what bad habits I would have picked up from him. You know, so you got to be careful. And I believe God works it out just the way it's supposed to be. Whether or He uses those negative experiences, for your good.
This was more medicine for me than you realize because my relationship with my dad, it's been a work in progress of healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, it's like in my mind, it's only been the last 3-4 years that we started this process of healing since my
Mm-hmm.
spiritual journey with
Mm-hmm.
plant medicine. But just listening to you, just kind of sharing that you don't need closure, you can just, he knows where he found where his shortcomings were and you know what it did. So why keep bringing it up? Why keep beating the dead?
Right.
And I think sometimes I get into that loop where I still
Yeah.
want to punish him and I still,
Right.
you know, throw shame,
Right.
but I need to stop. So thank you for that. So you just gave me
Yeah.
some medicine to really sit on it. Maybe it's time to just accept the relationship for what it is,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
it's healing.
Yeah.
Continue to go back and you weren't there for me and
Right.
you fucking choose your friends over me and all.
Yeah, man. Hey.
So it's. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Yeah.
whole different way to look at it. So, for you children out there that are struggling because they're trying to bring closure, you're hearing it firsthand from someone that's been able to navigate through life and find his peace and happiness and not need that closure that we have this expectations. It's almost like we're programmed that we need the answers, but we don't need the answers. We don't need
Right.
all the answers. We can
Right.
just pick up where we left off and just
Yep.
accept everybody's shortcomings, whatever they were. That's their journey, that's their story, and who are we to dictate what their story should have been?
Right.
And
That's real.
just allow
That's real.
travel.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
That's real. Because my mom often, what's funny is because they were here this weekend when we saw my daughter off. But my mom often says, like, his dad, because I never met my grandfather, my dad's dad. He died before I was born. But he was like, my dad didn't get the love from him. So I'm like, he don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And I get it. He was married, and sometimes, he couldn't multitask if he has this family over here. And then I do know the dynamic of my mom and his relationship, but he could have been so in love or so hurt, like, I don't want anything to do with my son because it's a reminder of my F up, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I get it. It's cool. And you just move forward and you just make sure that you're a better person. And yeah, I respect it.
Here's something powerful. You know, your dad kind of got consumed with this new family, so you kind
Hmm.
of got left.
Yeah.
Um, what would be something that you would say to fathers that now are entering into a new relationship, a new marriage, and
Ooh.
now you're trying to balance? So, how do you, and then especially if now they, have a house, they're living with someone else now.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to a father to say, hey, don't forget about me?
Yeah.
I know you moved on, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's hatred towards the mom. Not that this happened with
Ooh.
your house, but what dynamic when there's hatred. So the way they're going to
Yeah.
bond you is by not showing up. So
Yeah.
what would be your message to say like, hey, fuck,
Yep.
don't forget about me. Like I'm
Right.
flesh and blood too. Like,
Right. It has nothing to do with the child.
mm,
You make sure you do everything in your power to be there for that child because everyone is different. It may not have that effect. They may not be like me. It could affect them in a negative way. So you do everything. Fight for your children, man. Like, for real. No matter what, if you got a crazy baby mom, whatever it is, just still try to be there. And I have a friend who doesn't want to pay child support because they said, no, she's gonna use the money to get her nails done. So what? Who cares? That's not it. Whatever. At least you're giving the money to the, and what she does with it is her business. You know what I mean? But you let your child know. Now it should be no excuse. There's cell phones. There's FaceTime. You should be present. If you got, but still make that effort. Be there. I can't imagine. I've been to every event my children have put on, and a lot of people they may not know, but my oldest daughter is my stepdaughter, but I call her my bonus daughter. So the 27-year-old, and I've been at every event, and I treated her like she was my own. So I've had to deal with, um, you know, being the other man. You know what I mean in her life. But I made sure, her dad wasn't there like he was supposed to be, but I made sure she did not feel that void. So fellas out there, if you're in a situation like that where you can't see your child often, make sure you you put the effort. You do everything in your power. You DM them on Instagram or however, Facebook, FaceTime. There is a way, and when you are in their city, take them out. Be there for them. Show them. Talk to them. Let them know what's going on. But try to resolve the issue with the mother too. So there isn't, at least, let it be some type of peace. So it's not chaos. Um, but it's important, man. That relationship with your children, that is so important. So do everything in your power to make sure you are building up that relationship and that bond.
wow, bonus daughters. So what's relationship like that she's an adult now, an older adult, and how does that feel to, well, what does that look like?
What does it look like? Friends. It has its moments where it's a little rougher, but I'm the type to step back and I'll be like, all right, cool, you got it. Because you are an adult. I taught you everything. I'm like, okay, up until 18 and beyond, there's times where, but a lot of times when they feel like I'm grown, I'm like, cool, and I'm here for you. I always give them I'm like, yo, I don't think you should. I talk to them in a different way. When it's younger, I'm like, hey, don't do that. That's not cool. You shouldn't do that. Now that they're, I'll be like, if it were me, I wouldn't really do that. I don't think you should do this. Da, 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 da. But okay, hey, it's not me. It's your thing. But overall, we have a great relationship. She's doing well. She's in the fashion industry. I've helped her get a lot of jobs. She helps me with stuff. So we're like friends. We've partied together. I'm married still, so me and her mom and her, we've gone to parties together, concerts together, and it's kind of crazy because I'm still dad. So certain things in me are like, if we're out and we have cocktails, I'll be like, hey, that's a little too much, sweetheart. And she'd be like, I got it, Dad. I'm like, okay. There's been times where I had to carry her out, but at least I'm there. At least I'm there.
Absolutely. I think that's the greatest payback that a father can get is when your adult children invite you out. And
Yeah.
I say that because my oldest daughter, she's 28, and
Okay.
she's always invited me. She'll be like, hey, we're going to Hurricanes in Huntington Beach. You want to come
Yeah.
with us? Or we're going here with my friends. And at first I was like, man, she's just trying to get a free ride. Like she
Right.
paid for drinks and wants me to pay.
Yep. Yep.
So, and that was just kind of like my guard up. But then I realized, like, no, she just enjoys spending time with me. She doesn't mind
Yeah.
that I'm around her friends and her boyfriend and stuff. And she likes
Yeah.
having me there because I'm just that silly dad and just doing crazy shit and
Yeah.
dancing on the tables and I don't
Ha!
anymore. I purged that shit out with ayahuasca 4 years ago, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still just full of life and
Yeah.
I think she just gets a kick out of it. Even though at a young age she was embarrassed by it, but now it's like she appreciates that it was all in love.
Right.
All
Right.
in
People will see, like on some of my videos, one of my a video that like super blew up when I showed up on her date and she went for cupcakes. And when I started dancing in there and her and the dude that she was on a date with, she was just like, oh, that's my dad. Like, she was like, that's my dad. Compared to my middle daughter, she'd be like, oh my goodness. But she'd be like, oh, it's my dad. He's wild. So that's how it is. Once they get older, they're like, this is who you are. It is what it is.
Oh man, I love that. So you're a young man, and then
Yeah.
you fall into fatherhood.
Yeah.
What does that look like? So you try not to repeat that cycle of how you grew up, and you have a strong mom.
Hmm.
What's going through your mind as you become a young father? And
Being the best, sometimes overcompensating because of my dad not being there. So I'm like, yo, I'm not missing nothing. I'm not gonna miss picture day. I'm not gonna miss your first day at school on the lunch, your lunch. Like I'm like a stalker dad everywhere. I'm crazy with it. That's how it looks in the beginning until you learn balance and you can only be there. And I think my children appreciate it. I think I missed one event my daughter's senior year because I was doing a podcast. And I was like, dang, I was so pissed. But I came at the end, but she understood. She's like, Dad, you are there for everything. Like, I can't complain. So, becoming a dad, you just don't want to miss any moment. You just want to be there. You want to videotape everything. And, with 4 children, it's kind of crazy. And what I don't want, the main thing I think about is just growing up and because I've seen it happen a lot where you go to your parent and you're like, hey, you weren't there for this. Da, 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 da. A parent can give their all. Look, I'll break off my left arm and give it to you. And they'll be like, yeah, you did that, but you didn't give me your foot. It's always going to be something. So I make sure I have those conversations with them where I'm like, yo, where am I lacking? You know what I'm saying? As a parent, even though I know I'm showing up, I know I'm here. What would you like me to do just to make sure that they're healthy and to make sure that I've done my very best as a dad. So, you're not going to get it 100% right. We're still learning. And then each child it's a little different. Uh, I didn't raise my bonus daughter the way I raised my second daughter, the middle one, the one I embarrassed the most. They're a little different. I think I was a little harder on my middle daughter because my bonus daughter I was a little softer because she wasn't mine biologically, and I didn't want her to feel like, oh, he hates me. I didn't want, even though I've always said I'm your dad, I didn't want that stepdaddy name, like, oh, you're just my stepdad, you're an asshole. Like, I didn't want none of that. So I think I was real cool. I was real laid back. But, in the end, you still get called an asshole at times, no matter what. And I know I'm skipping your question. I hope I
No,
answered
you're
it, and I'm
good.
going to, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so just each child is different. And then baby girl, the 10-year-old, she doesn't get, she gets treated different because she's the baby. And then my son, I'm like, you're a young man, so I gotta be a little more harder than you. And then even through that figure showing the balance because you don't want to be like, you're a man up. No, no, no. And I'm like, okay, I gotta chill. So then I started I'm like, all right, man, we can talk, we can cry. Here, let me give you a kiss, let me hug you every now and then. And that's the thing, like, especially in the Black community, we're like, a lot of us are like super hard. And I'm sure you're of Hispanic descent, right? Yeah. So it's, that machismo, that, so a lot of that, we like, oh, you gotta be tough or whatever. But it's okay to, like, yo, he's still a human being. Come on, let's have a sensitive moment. If we gotta cry right now, if we gotta be vulnerable, let's do it. Let's be emotionally what do they call it? Emotionally aware, emotionally
yeah. Emotional intelligence or the
yeah, well, just be aware emotionally, and yeah, yeah. So I
man.
said all that to say, I don't know what I was saying.
No, that's beautiful. Because and I'll ask you, how did you know like that you needed to show up to everything? And the reason I say that is because you know, I wasn't there for my girls growing up. So I
Yeah,
was that narcissist father, and my way was, well, I provide for you and I give you things,
right.
but I didn't show. And when I did show up, I usually had paperwork in my hand or making calls, and they remembered that. So when I
Yeah,
say, but I was there, no, you
yeah,
weren't. You were on your phone. You stepped out. So they would see this, and especially when you and are an entrepreneur, I'm going to say,
yeah. Yep,
because you're constantly thinking about,
yep.
okay, am I going to have money for that to pay the bills next month?
Bro,
And you're
bro,
generating, trying to,
bro.
so yeah.
Yes,
So that
yes.
my weakness is always having to stay strong and like, no,
Yeah,
I can't go to this because I got to go and make money.
right,
So, but that was my excuse. That was my cop
right,
out.
right.
But how did you know? Like, how did you just know inside? Like, no, this is important.
Because I knew how I felt
Mm,
when I remembered. Man, it's a story that always sticks out to me. Even though I'm like, my grandfather he would just show up. He was there, but he would just show up. Like, okay, I got to be here. But I remember I was sitting out in a basketball game. We were playing a basketball game, and then they put me in, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. Yeah, my papa. I would call him my papa. My papa gonna see me do my thing. So I'm, boom. And I go and I make this 3-pointer and I'm like, yeah. And I look in the stands and my grandfather is gone because he went to on a cigarette break. I was
mm.
like, what the hell? Like, y'all was just killing it. I was like, I barely got any playtime. And when I got in, I was killing it. And he was gone. And I will never forget that feeling. I never even told him that. I was just like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And he died in 2018. But he was a great man, wonderful man. But I mean, he was tired. He's like, I raised my children, and I'm here. And sometimes we don't know. It's like at least we think sometimes we think showing up is good enough. But we have to balance it. We have to make sure because I get it, man. I'm always in hustle because I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm always like, yo, I gotta grind. I gotta, what are we gonna do? But I'm like, all right, I have to force myself. I'm gonna be present, and I look up and I'm like, all right, cool. Whatever I have, it can wait. It can wait for between 2 hours. It could wait. It could wait. Unless there's a deadline. I mean, of course, there's some, and everybody's life is different. And I totally get it. As a man, we can't show up to everything, but still, there are things that we can show up to. Like, if you can't make it to every game, then, put it in your schedule. Like, all right, I'm going to come to every other home game. I'm going to come to, I mean, especially like with sports, you can kind of balance that. But when it's big things, like if your daughter has a recital, find out as soon as possible and make those allowances, you know.
Powerful. Tell me about a moment when you were a child that either your grandfather or one of the father figures that was in your life, that
Hmm.
was just a moment that you can recall that just kind of hits you emotionally, like, man, I remember that time, and that just it hit me. It impacted my heart. Something you always think about, like you shared the disappointment, that one moment when you made that 3-point shot and your
Hmm.
grandfather was out on a cigarette break, and that
Hmm.
impacted you.
Yeah,
Man, what about a beautiful moment that you can share, that to this day when you think about, man, you get butterflies inside and a little tear kind of twinkles, and
yeah.
like, man, this was my
I
childhood.
I think about with that, it would be my godfather. I have to think like with my grandfather, and something may come to me. But my godfather, um, growing up in school, you would see when the kids would have McDonald's
Mm.
when they came, and you'd be like, "Oh, they got McDonald's in school. They didn't have to eat the regular lunch." And I remember one random, like it was like a Wednesday, and I seen my godfather come up to my school. I was like in third grade, and he had that Happy Meal for me. I was like, "Oh my!" That changed my life. That was probably one of the first times I ever got McDonald's in school, and I just felt like, man, that was I don't know that it did something to me, and I was just like, "Yo, he really cares. He really loves me." Those little things. That's what did it. And then my grandfather, he would talk to me a lot. Like he was very wise. Um, and yeah, we would just have like certain conversations, and I could tell he would still try. We would drive to school. He would drop me off at the bus stop, and Biggie would come on, and he'd be like, "I love it when you call me Big Papa," and he had like a deep voice and this, and I'd be like, "Okay, Papa," like, all right, he's trying to be cool. And that every time I think about that, I'll be like, "Oh man!" Like so now when I hear Big Papa, I remember right after he died, like Big Papa came on the radio. I was like, "Ah, all right, Papa, that was funny. That was cool." So I just remember things like that where he would try to relate, and then he would tell me, I would see like dudes smoking weed over there. He's like, "Jevin, you got a good head on your shoulder. Don't do that. Don't, boom, boom." Even though he would smoke weed every day and he lived till he lived till he was 88, But I got what he was trying to do. He's like, don't smoke it yet. If you gonna do it, just get through life and be a good kid. And he would always tell me how I was a good man and he was proud of me and things like that. Even, up until him dying, he was just like, "Man, I'm so proud of you." And I know I have that in me, like as the family man, I know he definitely instilled that in me. So when I think about my grandfather as a whole, I get a butterfly. I got his button right here too. Got a little button of him. Yeah.
Wow. you know
Yeah, man.
you hit something so powerful. It's the little things that count. So going and dropping off a Happy Meal, or even just
Yeah.
picking up your son or daughter from school and taking them on a little adventure. Just it's those little pivotal points, those little emotional moments that
Mm-hmm.
create a lasting impression, because it was that moment that was a turning key for your relationship with your grandfather and with your godfather.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, man, no matter how he could show you, like, "Oh, I love you," or hug you, but just to bring
Mm-hmm.
you that Happy Meal was like, okay, because they're children. they don't know
Yeah.
emotional support and intelligence,
Right.
but it's just like that one
Right.
token of appreciation was like, man, thank you.
That was, yeah, that's what I think about each time. Like, yeah, just him showing up. I'll never forget that day. I was like, yo, this is the greatest day of my life. And he sat there and ate with me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I was like, yo, and I know that left an impression on me because I would do the same for my children. Like my son, his first day of pre-K, I'm like, no, we're gonna sit here. I'm not gonna eat that nasty food, but I'm gonna sit here with you and we're gonna talk and we're gonna have conversations. Even to this day, I'm like trying to pull stuff, and I know, they have their phones and stuff, and they give you short answer. How's your day? Cool. Would anything happen? Nah. But I try to pull out things because I'm not gonna be here forever. So I want to, and they don't realize that. They think like, oh, I'm always gonna have my dad. So I want to make sure that I am still, you're becoming a man, son. But I want to make sure I instill certain things into you. I want to make sure that your life is easier than mine. Each time, even though, like I said, I didn't have like a bad life, but I still wanted to be better. Each generation is supposed to be better. Like I want my kids to do way better than me.
Wow. So you've heard it here. You want to make an impact on your kids, man, go
Yeah,
grab a Happy Meal and go sit
come
at
on,
the table and eat it. And now they got these little cool Crocs out right now. Like
right.
as
Get them Chick-fil-A. Now do Chick-fil-A and
there you
In-N-Out.
go.
We're not gonna do the Happy Meal.
Love it, love it.
Some
So
Jersey Mike's.
so you're an entrepreneur. What kind of projects are you working on? Tell me what's going on in your life.
Boom! What you
Yeah.
say? What?
Whoa.
What? Look
Daddy
at this
loves
book,
to
y'all.
embarrass me.
Daddy loves to embarrass me. Guess what? You guys heard it first. This book just came out on, whenever you air it. It came out this week, a couple of days ago. It is on Amazon right now. Daddy loves to embarrass me. It is a book. I'm going to show y'all a little bit. Boom. I'm going to show you a little bit. But at the end of the book, there is a coloring book as well. So I
Yes.
want you guys to go on Amazon and get Daddy Loves to Embarrass Me book. A portion of the proceeds are going to go to the Children's Hospital. And then the other portion is going to go to Jevin putting his daughters and son in college. But yeah, man, I'm so proud of this project. It describes a lot of the stuff that I do. It's a fictional story but based on true events. Like this outfit, I wore this actual outfit when I embarrassed my daughter on her cupcake date, the oldest daughter. And if you've been following me, you will see some of the outfits that I wore. But I'm proud of this. It's my book, Daddy Loves to Embarrass Me. It's a children's book written by me, illustrated by my little nephew. His name is Isaac, but he goes by Izzy J. So he drew all of the pictures,
Wow.
and I'm just so proud of this. It's a wonderful story. Get it for your children. Get it for yourself. I think me writing this book, it could help heal that inner child, that little child. You may not have grown up with a father. So I get so many comments where people are like, man, I wish you were my dad. I didn't grow up with my dad, or I grew up with my dad. I miss my dad so much. So I believe if you get this book, it will help heal or a part of you that you didn't even know needed to be healed. And you'll understand why, if you did have an embarrassing dad like myself and Edward, then you'll understand why we are embarrassing, why we do it. It explains the whole story. It's out of love. It's not malicious. It's our way of just interacting with our children and being close. And we're still cool. We like to entertain. We like to do this. Let's do it for you.
It's funny because I have a place where I just record podcasts and
Hmm.
do my thing, but I kid you not, it's like a toy store. I've got 5 scooters here, motorized scooters.
Mm.
I've got kites. I've got freaking PS4.
Why you didn't invite me over,
I,
man?
I, I got to, man. We got to do a live. Have you
Let's
come
do
over?
it, bro.
But it's just, and then my kids just kind of trip out because I'll go to a toy store and I just freaking run out. I'll buy a toy.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that my healing, because it's only in the last 4 or 5 years that I've really reconnected with my daughters again, where I finally cry. My daughters weren't allowed to cry as children. They weren't allowed to
Mm.
share. So it was I gave them PTSD, unfortunately, because I was
Wow.
trying to raise strong, independent girls, and in the
Right.
process, I broke them, and it was
Wow.
a lot of issues that I'm not going to share the story
Right.
anymore. But it was bad. It was bad. It was life or death. And but my thing was, you can't depend on a man. You've got to get all straight A's. You know. So in my mind, I was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Man, I destroyed them. And
Yeah.
now connecting and going back and trying to make things right.
Mm-hmm.
What I've come to realize is that I'm also going back and I'm healing my inner child because I didn't get to be a child. So being that silly, funny, just always embarrassing, you know,
Yeah.
it's me just going back and reconnecting because that's
Yeah.
my healing journey. That's how I'm now playing with little Eddie right there,
Yeah.
and forgetting, any pain or trauma or resentment, abandonment. And
Yeah.
that's what I've shared with, when people say, "What do you do?" I say, "Well, I help men become better fathers by healing their inner child
That's dope.
because I didn't realize that's what I was doing. All these
That's
years
dope.
now, I'm healing, and yeah, I'm being a big kid, and my family gets annoyed by it. You know, I don't fucking care. Fuck
Right.
you. I'm
Right.
enjoying my childhood.
Right.
I could be the
Yeah.
black sheep, but I'm gonna have fun. I'm the one that
Yeah.
goes up at the family parties with water balloons and or spray
Yeah.
guns, and I want to create chaos. Why?
Yeah.
Because why not?
Right. Right. That's real. That's real. Yeah. And then, I mean, they may not understand it now, but by you doing that, like you said, you are healing that inner child, and you're becoming a better person. You know what I'm saying? It may look, you know, they may be annoyed with it at the moment, but like, yo, this is gonna help you in the long run because instead of me, you rather me do this or blow up and cuss everybody out and throw a rage and punch something in the wall, So yeah, man, you gotta heal the way you heal, and
No.
that's better than you know uh, crack.
Well, my blow showed up when I used to drink. Fortunately, I
Yeah,
purged that out, but yeah, there would be a whole different version of me when I started.
yeah, man.
It went from the funny
Yeah,
to the angry to the
yeah,
now the
yeah.
is coming out like we're coming straight from the streets now.
That's
So
crazy.
you know,
That's crazy.
man,
But yeah, man, I get it. I
what
get it. I
beautiful,
get it.
episode. Thank you so much for sharing. As we start to close out this episode, man, what are your final thoughts for fathers out there, for kids? Just what do you want to tell? Um, what's your final message that you're going to leave that your grandkids are going to pick up 20 years from now, and they're going to go, "That's Grandpa right there. He's fucking OG. Like he's an icon."
That's dope.
What's
But
the
tell them get my book. That's what I'm gonna say. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, go to Amazon, get it. Daddy loves to embarrass me. But with all seriousness, man, um, this is one thing I really stand by, and I believe a lot of people don't. I'm big on having a vision. You know what I mean? I know people do it in business, but I have a vision for my family, like a legit write down a structure, a vision for my family and where I see my family. I think every man who you are the head of your household. Uh, you are the leader of your family. I think it is important for you to have a vision, even if you don't show it to anybody, even if it's just for you. Write down a vision, just so you can know the direction you want your family to go in. Spend time with your children. That is so. Spend time with your children. Talk to them. They're not going to talk at a certain point. Embrace it. Cherish the moment. Make memories. Be intentional. Be intentional on what you do. Set those time aside. Make family day. If you guys just go to a park, have a picnic or whatever, just set those times. Sometimes it's not the big thing. You may not have a lot of money. You may not be able to go to London or Paris or Punta Cana or wherever. You guys could probably just go to the park down the street, but just do it and just make those memories, and they are going to remember that. And don't just do it one time, but anytime you can do that. I think that's it for the most part. I know I'm gonna think of something better later, But that's it for right now.
I'm thinking about, how you said you're a DJ too, and just your
Yeah.
aura, your energy. Man, I can just imagine the vibes you throw out when you're
What?
DJing. So
What?
that must be incredible, huh?
Bro, it's amazing, and my kids love it. I remember during the pandemic, I would throw parties. I had a daddy daughter dance for my
Mm.
daughters during the pandemic because they missed out on it. And I remember even their graduation, like that was the year my middle daughter, she graduated from 8th grade. My son graduated from 6th grade, and the baby graduated from kindergarten. So I put them all in cap and gowns, and we took pictures, and we had a big party. We had that, and we had the daddy daughter dance, and took pictures and ate. My wife made what did she made like a charcuterie board and like hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. So we make moments, man. Like the pandemic was one of the greatest times, and I know my children are gonna have so many memories. They're gonna be like, dang, remember the time dad this, remember the time dad did this, remember the time mom and dad did this. It's gonna be so much because I don't ever want them to have a moment where they feel like I wasn't there, and they can call me anytime. They can be married. Even my son, I'm gonna tell you like man up, but I'm gonna be there. I got you.
Mm. You
You
know,
know.
through our foundation, Fatherhood Voices Foundation,
Hmm.
one of the pillars is putting together father-daughter dances. So I'm
That's
going to
dope.
make sure that when we launch this father-daughter dance this year, we're going to hire you to come on and DJ because the
Let's make
energy
it
you're going
happen.
to bring, yeah, you're going to be that missing piece that we need to just get that energy level up to a whole nother
Come
level
on,
because you
let's do it.
understand it, you've been through it, you feel it, you know how to recreate. How can they find you on? Someone wants to reach out to you. You got your book out on Amazon. How can
Yes.
they reach out to you on social media? Where can they get in contact with you?
I am Wealthy Jev everywhere. Well, on Instagram, it's wealthy underscore Jev, at wealthy underscore Jev. TikTok, my TikTok is crazy. What, 1.2 million? At wealthy Jev. And then you can go to wealthyjev.com. If you want to find anything, go to wealthyjev.com. The book is there. All of my socials are there. YouTube, Wealthy Jev. Just type in wealthy, WEALTHYJEV. Wealthy Jev. And y'all follow me, man. Follow
Absolutely.
me. It's gonna be entertaining. I
Absolutely.
promise you.
Man, thank you for this. And this just goes to show that you can be a loving father. You can create memories through happiness, laughter, and smiles. It doesn't have to be all just discipline and structure.
Right. Right.
Sometimes laughter and love will
Yeah.
lead the way and it'll all
Come
fall
on.
together.
Yes, sir. That's
Hey,
it. I like that. Laughter and love will lead the way, and it will all fall together.
man, thank you so much.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you for having me, man. Thank y'all.